This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your sensei, Brian McMahon. Now, in Season 1 and 2, I got inside the minds of startup investors. In Season 3, I brought in entrepreneurs to share their startup journey. Here, in Season 4, we combine both so you can hear investors critique the investment value proposition of individual companies. You're going to hear how investors make decisions to invest in startups, what makes a great entrepreneur, and how billion-dollar companies are built. So tune in every Tuesday, 10 a.m. on all the major platforms. You can empower your tribe by sharing the podcast, and remember to subscribe, rate, review, and leave us a comment. Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. It's Tuesday. We's back. Today, we got a little treat. Not only do we have Michael here from Stact, but we also got Jeran, who is an angel investor, a very successful developer here in Southern California, has made the trip up from San Diego today. So we got a real treat because Jeran not only is an investor in early stage startup, but he started off his own incubator, which was down in San Diego, which is a phenomenal place that allows early stage. Oh man, I'm just saying all this for you. I shouldn't be doing this. I was just liking the sound of my own voice saying cool things about you, but talk to us about the journey.
Actually, I kind of like you just keep talking because I could just listen to you. That was great. Thanks for the intro. Makes me sound amazing, but it's not true.
No, man, you've got a really nice journey, though. You did.
Yes.
You're an entrepreneur from young. You got into land. You did really well. You got your granddad's piece of land.
Yes.
Yeah, I listened to my podcast
Yeah,
about you,
there
right?
you go.
You got your granddad's piece of land.
Yeah.
You made some money from it. You
Yeah.
then bought more and more and more. You
Yeah.
worked out a way that you could do more with less time, which is actually the ultimate in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
If we can build the creative dream that we want to have, and we can do it without spending 120 hours a week, well, that would be a friggin' blessing.
Absolutely.
So you nailed that. And then,
Yeah.
but what I'm really interested in is
Yeah.
you then hit a moment. And Michael, we're going to come to you. We're going to roll it into Stact and how it all came about and where we are with it. But I'm really interested in that moment where you're a really successful developer, you've done great, and then suddenly entrepreneurship came.
Yep. It hit me.
What
It hit me like a brick wall, to be honest with you. It's called a market crash. Real estate market crash, 2008. In fact, 2007 was really when the writing was on the wall for the land market to really start heading in the wrong direction. So
Did you see it coming?
I definitely saw it coming. So it was really interesting watching the land market sort of go on a tailspin. And I talked to a couple of my financial advisors at the time, and I said, "Hey guys, let's go ahead and cash out all my stocks."
No way, you got rid of them?
And I had a couple of guys convince me not to, so I only took out part of my my portfolio of equities and converted into at the time silver and gold, physical silver and gold. So which was
Smart.
actually good timing for that.
Yeah, that's great.
Those
are like 4 or 5 really great years for silver and gold.
Yeah,
That.
exactly. So I think 2009 was sort of the bottom for the silver and gold commodities market. So I basically got hit in the face and humbled very quickly, which was I think probably the best experience I ever had as an entrepreneur is learning sort of when you've done something for call it 12 or 13 years and you only know that, but you've looked at other things and never really delved into understanding the sort of the entrepreneurship process. It was a really interesting way to sort of go, okay, now you're forced to learn new things. And so I basically dug into, going back to my roots of understanding HTML and coding back when I was in college, building some WordPress websites, coming up with unique concepts, and then at the same time putting some capital into multiple startups in San Diego and Southern California.
You just went straight in and started investing?
Yes.
Like badass?
No, it wasn't smart.
Well, it's smart now because I put a startup to you the other day, and the way you responded to me told me that you're an incredibly astute investor, right? I put you a startup which was really low value at a really low cost. Now, I'm always very upfront about why it's a low cost, but you didn't even entertain it. You go, look, I have my criteria. This is how my criteria is. These are the companies I look at, and this is what I stay away from. And every single thing you wrote there spoke to me. Top-end venture capitalist, understands exactly how angel works and will not let emotions get in the way. So, but obviously it wasn't like that right at the very beginning, right?
No.
At the very beginning, it's like, oh my God, I found Mark Zuckerberg too.
Yeah, yeah. I think my challenge is I'm very emotional. I am an emotional entrepreneur, so I've learned to sort of tame myself. In fact, as we get to listen to Mike, who's a very tame entrepreneur himself and very successful entrepreneur as well and investor, it's very interesting because I'm being the emotional guy, sort of like having the delusions of grandeur of what I can build, and then having a guy next to me to tell me, hey, dude, calm down, relax. This is what we can do, but this is what we can't do. It's nice to have that. But over time, as you've made the mistakes of investing in companies that have failed, you also learn from that. And that sort of takes that emotional tick down a step and says, okay, this is how you need to look at deals. And so I've just been a little bit wiser in my approach to investing.
Beautiful. And that's taking you to the place today where, and just before we go to Michael, talk to me a little bit about the incubator and what made you want to build that.
2014, 15, when I probably was 7 or 8 investments deep. I really wanted to, one of the things I realized was that a lot of these companies were failing because they weren't in the right community and space. And so I felt like if I had a place to bring these guys into, I was actually part of a group in San Diego called San Diego Sport Innovators, which is a mentoring process. In fact, that's where Mike initially went through for his initial company. But I made a couple of investments in that group, and I realized that these guys didn't really have a place to network with the different, whether it was investors or mentors, and I wanted to have a space for that. So I built my first space, and I believe it launched in 2015. And quickly filled this space up with a number of different companies. And from there, my dream was to have a much larger space. And that was when 2017, the building, which was the former Blink-182 music studio, came on the market in Carlsbad. And just under 17,000 square feet. It was just an absolute dream location. And about the exact same time is when Mike and I got together with our concept. So it's kind of a unique, here I am trying to build this incubator for startups, and a program behind it. And then I co-founded with Mike this unique concept that sort of took off right away. So it's pretty unique.
Amazing. So Mike, come into the conversation.
Yeah.
Tell us where it all began.
It began in France.
So my mom didn't like me very much. You can take us deep. I'm ready to cry today.
Yeah, okay. So it's coming from France. I just got off the
You're a fellow European?
The airplane.
Good man.
I love Europe.
Yeah. And you got great hair. I know this because I got you got great hair too.
Thank you.
Don't feel left out. You got a little beard, for God's sake. And you know that Dollar Shave Club is going to be repeated by somebody who's going for bald men, right?
Bald Shave Club, absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's money to put money into.
I like
but
that.
we can't deny he's got great hair.
He's got great hair. Great hair. He spends a lot of money on hair product for sure.
So did you found the company in France or did you find it over here?
No, I founded this one here in the US with Jeran about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I founded several businesses back in France. I actually right off college. So I have a software engineering degree, and right after college, created the first business doing softwares, for other companies. And a year after that, we did a pretty good year, made some money. And a year after that, I created kind of like a childhood dream. So I'm a big surfer, and I created my first surfing video game back in high school.
Nice.
On my math calculator, and that was kind of like always my dream. One day I'm gonna make that game for real, and people are gonna play it. And then I created the first business, made some money, and finally had that opportunity and that time where I had the skills and I had some money. So it's like, you know what, let's go create this new company. So it was back into 2007.
Man, that's brave. And it was a surfing game you were building?
It was a surfing game.
Look, we got 2 investments in games here. We got one and a half investments in games here. Those things ain't cheap to build.
No,
and you got to have, like, if you're doing a movie, movies are impossible to make money from, but at least you just got to make a movie. Like in a game, you got to make a game and a movie in the same thing, right? So it's twice as hard.
Yeah, no, that was, if I think about it now, I'm going to say it was pretty crazy. We had literally no experience. We had no funding, nothing at all. It was literally our side company was funding that new business. And but we just wanted to do it, and we believed in it. And so we went from it. I bought a book called Flash for Beginners, because at the time,
no way,
back in 2007, it was Flash-based game.
Yeah,
so we started like that, but a few months later, we were having like 30,000 players a day on the game and having some good traction. And it was pretty popular. It was like a niche game, surf game, extremely realistic, and surfers were loving it. So that's kind of like how we started it. And
so what happened?
So a few years after that, we were like starting like we switched the business model, because originally it was an ad play. So we were making a core video game to attract a targeted audience, and our idea was to sell advertising to Quicksilver or Rip Curl, like brands into the surfing
Makes sense.
industry. But back in 2007, it was probably way too early and at the same time too late on an ad revenue type of business. So we had a great audience, but we were not making any money. So we needed to figure out how to change the business model. And that was the time when Zynga and Farmville and all the type of like free-to-play video games were coming out. And so we tried audience monetization and we put some options. As soon as we put it, we were making $100 like 10 minutes later. So we're like, all right, maybe there's an avenue here. We started to work more on the monetization. Was pretty good, and so we were able to grow the company a little bit. But still, we are like 95% of the players were still not paying, and so we're kind of like struggling and find ways to do it. We tested rewarded video ads at the time and worked pretty well to monetize this audience, and wanted to scale with all our users in the app, looking for a campaign, but our inventory was too small. So now, okay, back to square one. How can we grow our inventory? And so we decided to create a third company, an ad tech, where we created the rewarded video ad technology, found some publishers, video game publishers, give them the technology to monetize their game the same way we wanted to do with ours, grew our inventory, and then on the other side, we're selling that to like advertisers, and we're getting the campaign, be able to monetize both things. So we kept going with literally these three different businesses. So the computer software engineering service, the video game, and the ad tech, growing the three companies together. But I was still, at the time, I was focusing mainly on the video game business, looking for investors, struggling in France to find some, and I was pretty young at the time, so I can understand why they didn't want to come with us. But I came here on a business trip back in 2009 and kind of like realized that California was the center of the action sport industry and surfing. And at the time, some VCs...
I also think VCs, like I can say this because I'm European, right? I'm Irish. Nowhere else in the world matters except America. I mean it. Like, nowhere else matters. Like, you can do okay. You can piss around in London. Maybe you can find a small little angel who'll give you 25K. Maybe you'll even get a VC that will do. But you have to be the 0.0000001% of the company to make it through over there and to find those people. And you got to go through such due diligence to convince a conservative investor they should put their money in. Well, you come to America, and I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. You have to be brilliant, and you also have to be lucky, and you also have to have the right timing, but you can scale high.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's kind of like where we were at, and so we decided, you know what, let's go to the US and try to raise money there. So I was literally going back and forth every 2 months here in the US and going back to France, trying to find some money. And I ended up meeting my wife, so now I had 2 excuses to come here.
Now you actually had to monetize.
And then,
Before it was a nice idea. You sit up late in the evening. We should try and make money. Why don't we try this? Now it's like, guys, we got to make money next week.
Exactly.
Okay?
So now the problem was totally different. But I was able to finally move to the US. And funny story is a year after I actually sold the company to the video game company.
How did you sell it?
I actually sold it to a French business. So I had to move to the US to actually sell it to a French business.
How did you find the French business?
It was actually 5 minutes away from my home in France.
A lot of the time that's the case, right? But how did they find out about you?
We were working with them for the past few years. They were in the action sport industry. They were actually distributing the famous GoPro cameras. And they were in the action sport business. We've been working with them for a long time on the video game. They were selling content, and we had the audience.
Did you know they were going to acquire you earlier?
They were interested, and at the time we were not. It was kind of like too early, but then we found it was like the best time. They were like growing, and we were kind of like struggling a little bit. And so we decided, okay, that's the best case scenario for everybody. And the project, and within their business, with all the other activities they had, it seemed at the time extremely strategic for us to accept the deal and go with them. So we decided to sell the business to them.
Good
and
job.
I had the opportunity to stay with them a few more years. So we were able to switch from browser-based to mobile, and had a pretty successful launch mobile game. We hit the top 5, top 10 in the App Store for a few days when we released the game, knowing that we only put $5,000 in marketing budget. That was pretty good. We hit like a few million downloads of the game. It was extremely high review rates and everything. But unfortunately, that parent company went down and went bankrupt and putting the game down. But in the end, it gave me the opportunity to create a new business.
You got your money, right?
And I got
I feel bad for
some
him.
of them, but I lost some money. I think
lost
on
some
that
too,
deal I
yeah.
lost,
That
but
sucks.
I was lucky enough that we sold the 2 of our businesses
Yeah.
in the past 2 years. So then I made some money and I was able to reinvest most of it in our new business.
Very good. And so you brought up a couple of points, which I just want to reinforce before we get to Stact. So, number one, always be in search of the perfect product fit. Even if you have to do 2 or 3 companies alongside each other, which are all aligned to try and get there, it's still all about getting that one company to the absolute perfect product fit. Never settle for some bullshit lean startup. I'm just going to build some mediocre, crappy thing and then get it better. Always focus on building the best you can. It may take you 2 or 3 years and never stop on it. Number 2, it's all about the Benjamins, right? So it's all about the money. You got to make sure that you're focusing on getting a monetization somehow, or you're getting an investor. Startup's job, we've only got one job really. Our job is to make sure we don't die today, that we continue cash flow coming into the company until we can have that perfect product fit, and that perfect product fit then matches the user experience, which means people are going to love the platform. We measure it from that. And then the final point you brought up, which I really like, is the fact that if you surround yourself with the types of people who can potentially buy your business in the future, and as long as you build a good business, somebody is probably going to buy that business in the future. You know, working in stealth, hiding yourself in a back room, not talking to people, staying away from people, afraid that people are going to steal your stuff. That's all very well and good if you want to be lonely and old and not have any friends. But if you want to have a great business which can monetize and make money, then you do exactly what Michael did there and surround yourself with great partners who are useful to you, potentially stronger, that can buy your business as well. Anyway, I just summarized all that. I want to get to Stact. Did we miss anything in that you want to add to it, or can we go to Stact?
No, I think that was pretty good. The only thing we did, just to let you know, in terms of funding, because we had a pre-mini and we had like a team, we had 20 people working across the 3 different businesses, which is, you know, some cash burn here and there. And like the video game business was not really profitable. So literally we were using the IT service business to fund everything.
Makes sense.
It was kind of a way. We didn't have any investor or anything behind it. So we had like a team of like a group of like 4 or 5 people. We were like doing projects for other companies, bringing in money, and with that money we were able to fund everything else.
Very smart.
And move forward like that until we were able to raise a little bit more money.
Very smart.
But that was a way to bootstrap everything.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's what I'm saying. Don't die today. Make sure you have enough money to get through to tomorrow. If we do that, 80% of our job as CEO is done because we have another day to live. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Stact. Where'd it come from? Was that when you met Jeran?
I met Jeran playing music at the band. Yeah. No, actually, I met Jeran playing basketball. So we're both basketball fans and surf fans.
And let me just tell you one thing. So this has been probably the happiest couple of days of my life as a Clipper fan. Kawhi Leonard just jumped on board the Clippers. I don't know if you heard about that.
Wow.
Are you a basketball fan or not a basketball fan?
No, but I love basketball, but I don't know anyone.
Well, you're about to love basketball even more because LA is about to have 2 of the most amazing basketball the most amazing basketball rivalry ever, with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George against LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
I just love the story of the Clippers. I love the fact that the Clippers came from being does LA have another team, to now becoming a dominant force through grit and fight and force and just not being shut down.
And a little bit of money from Steve Ballmer.
Yeah, but you know what? But you know, the thing is like it's the same as entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
As if you surround yourself with the types of people who like the story about what you're building and you put the right user experience into it, the Steve Ballmers turn up.
Yeah.
They're there all the time. It's not like they're hiding away saying, hey, I'm not going to invest and get involved in really friggin' awesome businesses that are doing great.
Yeah. And we actually talked about it funny this morning. We talked about on the way up. We talked about how Kawhi Leonard actually made some phone calls, like stepped out of some meetings, made some phone calls, and basically as an entrepreneur himself, put the deal together, said, if you bring Paul George to the Clippers, I'll play. And uniquely enough, he's the reason why the deal happened, because if Paul George said no, I don't know if Kawhi goes to the Clippers. So all these athletes, you know, they're sort of in control of their own destiny and putting deals together and making things happen. So it's really unique in that there is like this entrepreneurship piece in sports where these athletes, you think, wow, it's just the owner of the team making decisions. No way. It's not the agents and the owner. Sometimes it's the athletes who are actually taking a step out and taking a step of faith to go call another athlete to see if they would come play with them.
And by the way, I'll give you a useless but interesting fact as well. A company is 5 times more likely to get venture funding if they have a NBA player in the co-founding team.
There you go. Well, I tried to play in the NBA one time. Just kidding. But at 5'10", it didn't work.
Keep it in the back of your mind, though, because like you bring him in. So these NBA players, they're into entrepreneurship. That's one of the great things we see right now all the time. And you must see it as an investor too. There's more and more NBA players, more and more actors. There's more and more funds coming up. Lance Armstrong just launched a fund, $75 million fund, $25 million has just been filled.
Wow.
And obviously that's going to be sports related as well. I don't know if you have to use steroids to be in the fund, but I think
it is a requirement.
I think we just got wiped off his
kidding.
List of people to deal with.
I'm still not buying it. I like Lance.
So tell us all about Stact.
Yeah, so basketball fan. And Jeran is Clippers fan, and I'm a San Diego State, meaning I'm a Kawhi Leonard fan. So we're in the perfect world right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as a basketball fan and a college basketball fan, when I used to go back to France, I was literally spending my nights on my phone following the games, like looking at live scores and play-by-play, all this different type of information, which is pretty awesome to be able to, follow a game from France on your phone in your bed. But then when I was switching back to my overpassion surfing, I was literally not able to know anything about the event happening, the competition. And so I was kind of like growing this frustration where if I want to know anything about a basketball game, I can right from my phone. But then if I want to follow anything about that surf competition, I have no idea what happened or what the result is or what they did during the competition. So I was growing this frustration. And at the same time, I was able to go to a world tour competition in Tahiti. And I saw the technology the actual organization was using to power the event, and they were using just outdated technology. And now I understand why they were not providing any live scores or play-by-play, because their technology was just terrible, And so I kind of like realized, okay, so maybe if we were creating just one technology for the event organizer to produce the event and get the scores that they can use and can use pretty easily, and on the other side we would be able to have the data and give that in real time to the fans so they would be able to follow the competition. And at the same time realizing that the athletes, they don't have any profile. You as a professional in the business, you have your LinkedIn profile where all your history of everything you've done in your professional life is there. But as an athlete, they don't have anything similar. Even LeBron James as a basketball player, all his stats and his data and his profile is linked to the NBA, but he doesn't really manage his profile. And that's it. And so realizing that okay, we have the event organizer who doesn't have the technology, or it's either too expensive or it just doesn't exist, and they can produce their event correctly and they can't deliver real-time scores to the fan. The fans, they're not able to follow the event in real time. And the athletes, they have like no place to re-promote their results and promote their career. And so thinking about it, decided that, maybe we could just create one technology at the center of it all and be able to solve the three problems at the same time with just one simple technology. And talking to Jeran about it and realized that it's not a problem only for surfing, but literally every sport, or if not the NBA, maybe basketball at an amateur level.
Let me stop you for a second. Jeran, why did you get interested in this? When he mentioned it to you, did it grow on you? Did you get it straight away? And how big a problem did you feel it was?
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. So, and I hate doing this to Mike because I think it might, we're in a very big room here, so it's enough for Mike's head to grow large enough to fit. But I met, when Mike came and we met in the basketball court and he told me he was an engineer, and we talked a little bit, and then he showed me what he had, and then we took him through the program, and I was a mentor as part of what he was doing. I realized that Mike is probably one of the most talented developers I'd ever met. So I had made many mistakes as an investor in the past when I was young, focused on the horse and not the jockey, right? So my focus after a certain point was, let's go find a team that can execute on a good idea instead of focusing on a really cool idea and not executing.
Hallelujah.
And so that's sort of what intrigued me with Mike. So before the idea even came to fruition, my conversation with Mike was, if you ever needed capital, let me know. And I actually almost invested in his previous company, but decided to kind of wait that out. At which point he comes to me with this kind of like, half-baked idea. It wasn't something because it wasn't really the business that where we are today. Obviously, we've made multiple pivots to become what Stact is today. But it was obviously servicing the need. I have young kids that surfed in surf competitions, and I couldn't be, if I was in New York on a business trip, I wasn't able to watch my kids and what they were able to do. But there were other applications out there. But as Mike had mentioned, a lot of these solved single problems. So I'm all about solving equations and not single problems. And I think with today's technology, we can solve multiple problems together. And so when Mike and I sort of discussed this and got together, I said, man, I definitely agree that we need to find a way. And we started, like I said, surfing was a great test market for us because that's my background. I spent a little time in the surf industry. I helped run a surf team when I was doing my real estate stuff as a younger kid. And so for me, I knew there was a way to sort of tackle this sort of tier 2 sports market, providing a way for both the athletes and the fans to view live scores. So.
Beautiful. And then Mike, take us to the next stage. So the concept comes together. You built it. I'm with Jeran. I'm with him 100%. If you can actually, everything is about control, right? So even if you're a terrible entrepreneur with a great idea, and I say terrible, just don't have the skills to be able to bring it through, it's almost impossible to do it, right? You can be lucky, but it's almost impossible. If you're a great entrepreneur, but you don't have the development skills and you're building a development platform, it's still kind of sort of almost impossible to do it. It's very hard. And I say that as a non-technical entrepreneur myself. If you are a technical entrepreneur with a background in running businesses and exiting businesses, you now have the monopoly on control. So I don't want to say it's yours to lose, but you certainly are in pole position when you get started. So what did you do? How much did you raise?
Well,
and the thing is, normally, by the way, when we do these podcasts, is one of three things happen. Either we bring in an investor who has never spoken to the entrepreneur before, and then they grill them and they ask them questions and they say whether they'd invest or not. Or we Expert Dojo, because I think we've invested in as many as 12 companies that we've done podcasts with. So it's good. This is a good ratio for podcasts that we do. So I'll bring in our Alex, who'll sit with you, or we'll bring in an investor like Jeran, who is already in the company and is totally bought into it. So Jeran's going to be biased, but for all the right reasons. And for other investors who are listening into it, that you can actually see that we have an investor in the room. They are actively engaged in the company and they're going forward. But I want to know what you did next after you got Jeran on board.
So I didn't only come with just an idea. I came with the idea and a client. So I was on that a world tour event in Tahiti and saw how bad the technology was. And I'm a fan of the sport too. So I kind of like pitched the idea directly and first to the organization, the world tour, telling them, dude, we can make much better. We can save you money. We can make you actually make more money. You can engage with your audience. You can give a platform for your athletes to promote their thing. It's going to be good for you. It's going to be good for the sport. It's going to be good for everybody. If we build it, are you coming with us? Are you going to be our first client? And they say, yeah, if you build it, we're going to be your first client. So then I went to see Jeran and I told him, here's the idea. I have the client. I need the money. And so that's how I was able to kind of like start the thing first with a partner next to me and with a first client to kind of like prove that there is some interest already. And so as soon as we pretty much closed the deal. It was probably in December. And then I went to work, because now, like you said, you have to deliver and you have to execute. So I went to work. We did the first World Tour competition in Hawaii. That was in March. So like 3 months later, we were running our first event. And then we did.
So when you say running your first event, what exactly were you doing?
They were using our technology to so it's a scoring platform.
Okay, so you had built the technology.
Yeah.
Was it an API that they put onto their own sites, or was it something that needed to be shown on your website?
So you have two sides of it, okay? You have one side which is actually used by the event organizer to set up the list of all the participants, create the heat draw, advancements between the first round, second round, kind of like all these information. You need to input all the participants. And then the day of the event, it's judged events, okay? So you're in front of the beach, you have 5 judges. Each judge has a tablet in front of them with your software running it, with our software running it. They're going to type, so somebody's surfing, they have to give a score. So each judge is going to enter on the tablet the score.
Very good.
Goes into the system, goes to the cloud. And then on the other side, at the time, we only had kind of like a iframe web type of like view for the live scores, and that was on their website.
So the idea is you become, I don't know if you know Class Dojo, but you become a scoring system for all amateur events everywhere, or amateur and professional events?
Yeah, we can run, like today we're running the smallest event at the beach, and we can run a professional event in a 20,000 people stadium with live production
Very good.
and everything.
I love the idea. I love the idea.
And can I interrupt for 1 second? We actually, so last week I was in a really unique place for surfing called Waco, Texas. Not many people talk about Waco, Texas being a surf destination, but Waco actually has the only publicly operated, there's a private wave pool, Kelly Slater Wave Pool in Lemoore, California, but this is the only public pool at the BSR Wave Park in Waco, Texas. And we actually ran a professional surfing event last weekend, which was televised and it was a pay-per-view. So, just to throw that in there.
Yeah. So okay, love the path, love the journey, love the technology you're building. I can see a very strong product fit for competition everywhere. I'm like you, as a dad, I want to be able to see what's going on. And if I can see it in a very simple way and I'm watching wherever I am, that's the best, right? But actually, while I'm there, and for judges, they face an equal problem, which half the technology that we're using is scores, numbers, writing down on a piece of paper is stupid. So you fixed a big problem. I like it. So talk to me about the traction and how the company is growing and where it's going to go to next, and also any additional monies you've raised after Jeran.
Yeah, so that was just the beginning, and like you said earlier, the product fit is important, and like you just said, we had to solve the problem for the judges who are inputting the scores, for the event organizer managing his event, and for the fans looking at the scores and everything. So in 3 months, we created our first version of the product, but that was literally just the first version. So then we kind of like entered a R&D program where we're literally focusing on getting the feedback from the judges, for the event organizer, for the fans and everything, and improving the product to really have something good. And we only had one client, okay? So they were nice with us, they followed us and everything, but now we need to be able to go get a second one.
How did they pay you? What was the...
And the third one, it was about $2,000 an event, so like it's really low. So we need obviously way more client than just one.
But it's still a good amount per client.
But yeah, it's still a good amount, and it's proving that the technology is working and all these kind of things.
And I'm guessing, do you have a freemium model whereby they can come in and play with it and have very basic usage and then pay more or pay?
Yeah,
properly?
so right now, since then, we actually changed a lot in our business model. The business evolved as much as the product in the end. And right now, we have several tiers. So for an event, it goes between $100 to $800, depending on the features that you're using. We have some customization options on top of that. And we're also generating money today by managing event registration. So to participate in your surf competition, you have to pay your entry fee. And now you can use our app, create your profile, fund the event next to you next week, directly pay from our app, and we keep a service fee. And we can monetize there. So at the time we had our first clients, technology was starting to work, but now we had to kind of like go out there and like get more clients. And we were talking, especially with USA Surfing here, and where they were already using a technology to kind of like do the judging, but kind of pretty intrigued by what we were able to do. And so we worked with them a lot to kind of like improve our system, improve our software, to really give them like a good excuse to actually switch over to our system.
Very good. So talk to me about revenue. Doesn't have to be revenue today. You can share that if you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine as well. But talk to me about like where the revenue is going to go to. Talk to me about timeline for that revenue to get there. And then also talk to me about investment and how much you're looking for and how much you've raised.
So in terms of revenue, the first year, we only had like one paying customer. And so we probably generated maybe $15,000, something like that during the year, which was, not a lot. The second year, so we've been in business for like 2 years. Second year, we actually went down because we kind of like pivoted in terms of business model and went more in terms of, okay, the software is almost free for you and we want to get as many clients as we can. It's kind of like a partnership right now. We want to like try our system and see if it's scalable in terms of support, in terms of onboarding, training, and all these kind of things. So we were kind of like, okay, let's get as many clients as we can. We did that, and we really activated revenue back in December with the event registration. So we just activated that in December. So in December, I think we did like 12,000 gross.
Oh, well done.
And like last month we were like 60,000. So it's
you did 60K last month.
Yeah. And so
Amazing. How did you do 60,000 last month?
We've like just coming from 10 different event organizers with their events going on. So when they have to pay events, so
we're in the big time, baby. That's it.
Yeah,
you come a long way from $12,000 in a year to 60,000 in a month.
No, totally, and it really proves, that it's working, and we actually have like a lot of traction in terms of new clients and people to onboard and train.
Well done.
And upcoming events. I think we like in our pipeline we have like $500,000 confirmed, estimated.
Well done. Okay,
so the next few months. So the thing is going up.
And how much have you raised?
So Jeran and myself, totally both of us, I think we put around $400,000 as like the founder, and we are currently closing a friends and family round of $500,000.
Okay, very good. And then you're going to use that to get your revenue up to $700,000 to $1 million a year. And then once you get to $1 million a year, you're then going to go for a full seed round of like 1.5, right?
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. So now that it really took us 2 years to have the product fit.
This is what I like about Jeran. He's all in. He's like, yeah, okay. I'm all in. We don't need other people. We're gonna throw our money in.
It wasn't
easy.
Make this thing
work.
It wasn't easy, but no. You're right. I was all in, and it's funny because I believe it truly is a very globally scalable idea, and that's what I loved about it. I at first
did $60,000 last month and $500,000.
No, it's insane.
Like, you look very cool and calm and collected, but I mean, there's got to be a while at the beginning you're going, oh my God, right? And then you just hit it, and it's beautiful, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, we're in a very unique sweet spot right now, so we're excited.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning, and because that's one revenue stream. So our goal in the next few months is focusing on sales. Now that we have a product making money, we're focusing everything on sales. And the good thing about our business model is we have two sides. We have the B2B with the event organizers, which is what we're doing right now, but we also have the B2C with the app where they can follow the athletes and then can follow real-time scores and everything.
And you could probably build a SaaS model with the parents, I'd say.
Exactly.
If I'm a parent, I'll pay $4 a month.
Yep.
So for me, it's like paying for, WWE wrestling from my kid every month. They're like, it's worth $5 a month. If I know I can get access to any competition he's going to be playing, you get like the volleyball, you get the schools, you get the soccer, you get all those things in. It's game over. I think it's really good. Okay, we need to wrap up pretty quick, but I will give, and I want to give you the chance to have the second last word, and then we're going to let Jeran have the last word because he was the man who came in behind it. And I have nothing but respect. Look, we invest as an accelerator, and that's okay, but I have nothing but tremendous respect for investors. I don't want to say smaller angel investors. I mean it in a really good way, but people who are spending their own money, right? Not a fund that are spending their LP's money. People are spending their own money, and they put big chunks of money in behind an entrepreneur because they believe in it massively. And I think it's huge, and it's what makes this place so absolutely amazing. So I'm going to leave you with the last word just on that. But before I do, let me just summarize what I see here. We have a company. It's built. It's ready. What's the valuation?
Oh, that's a good question.
What are you doing friends and family at?
We're doing a safe round.
Is there a cap in the safe or no?
5 million.
Okay, so 5 million. Okay, so fine. So we got a very good valuation. Got last month revenue of $60,000. We got $500,000 in the hopper for projections that is, I won't say guaranteed, but looking very, very good on revenue going forward, which leads anyone to believe that the route to this business to becoming $100,000 a month business is relatively straightforward. And most of the later stage investors are going to be wondering on the route to a SaaS model, but I think you have that with the parents that you can build in on the B2C model as well. And it sounds great. Like, I like the product fit. I love your background. I love that you've built stuff before. I think this is really good. It's too late for our accelerator, but obviously if you were 2 years ago and I was as smart as this guy over here, Jeran, this is one that we would put into the accelerator in a heartbeat, and we would have done it before you built the product. I think we would have seen it, and we would have seen it because the same stuff you saw, great entrepreneur, has the control, built the product, done it before, has a really good product fit and build it through. So for investors looking at it, this one comes with a huge tick in the box from Expert Dojo. So well done, mate. I want you to add maybe your one piece of advice for all of your ventures so far, including this one here for entrepreneurs who are listening in. And then I want you to finish by giving your contact details and just the website so people can find it too.
Yeah. So main piece of advice, I would go back to the product fit. In the end, if you have a video game with thousands of people playing it every single day, telling you that the game is good, even though maybe you're not making money today because the business model is not good or something like that, as long as your client in the end and the end user is loving what you're doing, there's something to do, So kind of don't give up and focus on the product fit. Make sure you have something that really solves the problem in the end. And if it's good and if it's better than the competition and people are coming back and giving you good review and everything, then finding the money, finding the business model and all these kind of things, it's kind of like another problem, and maybe get some help from somebody else who knows how to do that. But just don't give up there and focus on the product. Make sure you have something good, solving a problem, and everything is going to follow.
Brilliant. Jeran. Oh, also, contact details. How can people contact you?
Michael Jegat. The best is maybe find me on LinkedIn. I would say that will be probably the best.
Spell your last name.
Michael
is just Michael.
Yeah, Michael. And Jegat is Jegat.
Okay, very simple. And find you on LinkedIn. Excellent. And then the website?
Stactapp.com. STACTAPP.com.
Wonderful. And is it a website or is it an app?
Both.
Both.
There's a website and you can download the app. The website is more informational and the app is more the content and the events.
Wonderful. Jeran.
Yes, sir.
You're the hero of the story. You came in when Michael needed you most. And he's like, help me. I have a great idea. I need someone. And you stepped up and said, I'll be your man.
Yes.
You never looked back. You're big. And look, the fact that you then came in as co-founder, you're traveling to all these places. I called you last week. You say, man, I can't speak to you. I'm in Waco. You go today. I'm up in LA. You're traveling around. You're all in. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's funny. I 2.5 years ago, I thought it was just going to be an investment. And then I realized how much I was passionate about the idea. And generally speaking, for me, it was, I had just opened up Incubate Ventures. I wanted to step back and focus on Incubate and building it. And we quickly got that space to cash flow positive to a point where I said, you know what, as long as that thing, if I don't have to write a big check every month to keep those doors open, I'm all in with Stact. And so, it's exciting. And Mike didn't mention, but where this play goes next is we are going to be a sports OTT platform and actually offer live webcasts.
I knew you were going to say that.
And so that's the exciting part for me is it's all about content. So we've got the data, and now we've got the content, and that's the really unique part. So, so I'm super blessed to be, have Mike as a co-founding partner, and we're just, it's as definitely not been easy. But we are both all in, and we're excited. And Mike works 20 hours a day. I sometimes work, 15, 20 hours a day, and that's just the way it works. And I'm okay with it because, again, this is a business we're working on together. I don't look at it as an investment anymore. I look at it as a job that I'm very passionate about. Obsession.
It's an obsession.
There you go. Perfect.
Obsession is way better.
Exactly.
It's like a total compulsive obsession. And it takes over your entire life.
And you'll sit there one day and I'll come up with an idea and I'll say, you know what, I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to reach out to this guy, or I'm going to get this guy's email. And if I told you the number of stories, I call it digital door knocking. And so what I'll do sometimes is I'll just email a big CEO or a big something and say, hey, here's my idea. We did this to one of our advisors who was the founder of a company called Adroll in San Francisco. I just pinged him and said, hey, we'd love to share with you what we're doing. And we sent him a deck and he's like, hey, I'd love to be an advisor. And that was simply by a LinkedIn request.
No, mate, the reason that we're in this podcast is because you reached out to me.
Yep. And then you reached out back to me.
Of course I did. Yeah. Because you reached out with something which was relevant and which was something as, hey, we should speak about this, about something not directly tied into this, but because of the direct outreach, we're now sitting in a podcast which will go out to a bunch of people, might hit an investor at some stage in the future. To your point, it's hashtag nothing impossible.
Exactly. Just keep going, and like Mike said, it's it's all about the product fit and build something really good. Don't strive for top line revenue. Build a company with profitability. Focus on the bottom line when you're building a company, and make sure there is some profitability there.
Mate, don't let any of the shitty unicorns that are out there today hear you saying that. They'll be very upset.
I know. I think most people realize, and those that listen, times are changing, and I think investors are wising up to, budgets are tightening up. People aren't spending money on early stage stuff anymore. The Kickstarters of the world are really struggling because it's coming up with an idea and throwing it on Kickstarter before you've built something. Those days are gone. It's building something really good now and with a good business model behind it.
Listen, on that note, we finish it. It's been a pleasure. Jeran, thanks for coming in. Michael, thanks for building what you built. Make it brilliant and make us all look back and say, I fucking knew that guy. That's
Right
a
on.
wrap.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.